What's up? It's Marco, Sage of Soccer, and Ecuador just beat Qatar 2-0, and I'm very excited about it. This is a game that I think everybody was a little bit tense going into it, especially after that offsides call at the very beginning of the game. But thankfully, justice prevailed. Ecuador won 2-0, and it was a mixed performance from Ecuador. I honestly don't think they were at their best, but it's difficult to not play down to the level of opposition in a game like this. But it's very good to see that the game was allowed to be played fairly because this is a very fun group. I'm really looking forward to seeing Senegal and Netherlands play tomorrow, and it's good that one team won't be wasted with just Qatar going through because they're the host nation. It's really good to see because of that. And going into the game, it was a pretty aggressive start, a lot of physical play, but Ecuador quickly got the better of the game. Valencia, great run to find a goal, won penalty, took it well. Got another goal, Preciado with a very good cross, and Valencia with a really impressive header. And Ecuador took the lead pretty easily. They probably should have added on a couple more, but didn't. Qatar never really threatened. I think their best chance was a cross at the end of the half, but I think that was offsides too. And yeah, just overall, they didn't really give Ecuador much of a challenge. For Ecuador, I didn't think they looked great. They're making a lot of mistakes in build-up, and I think just overall they looked a little bit rusty. If the defense could have been punished if Qatar was a little bit better, but they weren't. And I thought they looked better in the second half, though they really should have finished off a lot more chances. For individual players, Valencia had an amazing game, putting some tough shots into the goal. He did a great job. I thought the fullbacks, Estupinian and Preciado, got forward very well. The midfield stopped attacks pretty well. Like Casiado, Mendes, they're doing well stopping the attacks, but Casado, and Mendes were doing well stopping the attacks. But overall, they weren't like dominating the game or anything. I thought Hincapié in defense, he was doing a good job. I think I would have liked a bit more from their wingers. I thought Plata grew into the game, but Ibarra, he really wasn't doing that great. Sarmiento did a little bit more when he came on as a sub, but his end product really wasn't there. I think you'd really have to consider Angel Mena putting him on. I know that he's more comfortable on the right, and you have Plata there already. Plata was doing pretty well when he drifted onto the left side of the field. Maybe that's an option there. At center back, I thought Torres was a little bit of a concern. You've got a Porozo, Alborleta. There are other options there. And in goal, Galindez didn't have to do much. It was interesting to see him start over Dominguez. That was a little bit of a battle. He's 35 just like Dominguez, but Dominguez has a much more experience. So for Galindez to be starting, the manager has to see a lot of talent there, or maybe something wrong with Dominguez. But it's good to see Galindez in goal. Carlos Cruzero, like, he should return soon. He's dealing with an injury. I think they did miss him a little bit. And just overall, I mean, decent performance. Tough to not play down to level of opposition, but Ecuador, they did their job. For Qatar, not really that good. Their keeper, Al Sheeb, like, he was just bad. I thought Hassan in particular had a pretty bad game. Their best players are their attackers, and they really couldn't get the ball to them. As I mentioned before, they had one good chance at the end of the first half. It was probably offsides, and like, there's a reason when I was doing in-depth previews for the entire group stage of the World Cup, when I got to Qatar, I was just like, they might get through because they're the hosts, and the rest might give them some calls, but this team is not worth going over. And it was proven today. Like, if anything, I think they got worse since the Gold Cup. I think they are probably outplaying the group of MLS American players at that Gold Cup, and they looked even worse than that. And part of that's out of the players' control. The run to this World Cup has been terrible. They've taken their players out of their clubs. They've just been playing international matches against bad teams. Like, I think their toughest game was probably Albania, and that was like a domestic Albania team. It wasn't even like a real thing. It's just like, I think the U.S. did a similar thing in 1994 with a good amount of their players, but a lot of them back then were college kids. Like these players for Qatar, they were kind of set up for failure, but at the same time, were they good enough anyway? And probably not. I think it's kind of like a bit of a whimper to start the tournament. I mean, there's not much to talk about from Ecuador's side. They just did their job. Good on them to put the game away early, but, overall, they could have been much better today. Qatar, they're just not good enough. It is what it is. And hopefully I can get more in depth with these. Might be a bit tough for England Iran because that might be a blowout, but next game, Senegal Netherlands in this group in particular. That's going to be really fun to watch. Wales USA, looking really forward to that. But yeah, overall, it is what it is. Decent game. That's all I'll talk about. I'm going to be talking about every single World Cup game in this group stage, hopefully. So, subscribe if you want to stay around for that. And yeah, that's all I'll talk right now. See ya.